One of my followers on Twitter tagged me in a post in response to something that I mentioned that had absolutely nothing to do with what you're about to hear. But this, I had to debate whether or not I was going to do a video about this, because this and what you're about to hear is so graphic that I would highly suggest that if you have any small children around you, to have them leave the room. And if you are a person that feels like you are about to be enraged, I would highly suggest that if you feel like you're about to get to that point and you don't want to hurt anybody around you, to clear them out of the room as well. I'm not even joking about this right now. What you're about to hear is extremely graphic. This is my disclaimer. Trust and believe me, if you are not as equally as outraged as I was when I first heard this, then I think you might actually lack a soul. So with that being said, I'm going to just go ahead and let this audio speak for itself. It's about 8 minutes long. So you're probably going to hear more of it than of myself.
Okay, so when we was at home, by ourselves, washing my showed us the private part of a boy, and when the stuff we wearing, she showed the stuff where the boy private part is. I didn't know she got it. Yeah, she got it. She got a small one for us, and then she got a big one for mommy.
What you mean she have a small one for y'all?
She got a small private part for us, and she be telling us to pull our pants down and stuff.
Tell y'all to pull y'all pants down and what?
Put our butts inside of it.
She been putting that in y'all behinds?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't lie to me.
I'm not lying.
Is that why your butt be sore? Is that why your butt been sore, Justice?
Yes, ma'am.
When I asked you why your butt hole look like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Come here, Honesty. Sit, come here.
And she be doing stuff to promise.
What does she do to promise?
She be taking
Come here. Look at this. What does she does to promise?
She be pulling her pants down. She be touching all over her right here and her private. And then that's when she made us sleep in the car last night. And she did something. She put something in the tub, and then that's when I sat down and my private was burning a lot. And when we slept in the car, I was itching while Justice and promisely my private was itching, and I kept moving. And Mommy got mad at me, but I didn't want to tell her that my private was burning because she was going to get mad at me. And she was what you mean your private is burning?
Okay, so before you left the house, when you told me that your mommy told you to call the police, and you called.
Yeah.
Okay.
They was arguing. Shamari slapped Mommy, and then Mommy called me. While Shamari was in the bathroom trying to throw all our stuff away and bleach all our stuff, she called me. Told me to call the police, and I did. And
okay, can't worry about them. I want to know what Shamari has been doing to y'all, and so she really be putting something in y'all. But please don't lie to me, Honesty. How many times have she done it?
I don't know. It's been a lot of times.
Where do y'all mama be? Where do Tayshana be at?
At home.
She knows
no. She be at work, and one time she found out because she was there and she kept hearing. She heard us crying, and then that's when she came in here. She grabbed a knife, and she almost was trying to stab her, but I had to grab her from doing that. And
what, she saw her doing something to y'all?
Yes, and she called the police, and she went to jail. And yeah. And she told Mommy to lay down, and she tried to put the private in Mommy's mouth. And while we was standing right there, she kept trying to tell us to come in there and push it down Mommy's throat, but I didn't do it. We all didn't do it.
Lord have mercy. It's not okay. It's not okay. I'm so sorry y'all been going through this. That's why I've been telling y'all to tell me. I know I've been gone a month, but I told y'all to tell me everything. Y'all left that part out, but I knew something was wrong just as when you told me your butt be hurting, and I looked at it. Remember me asking you if somebody did something to your butt?
Mama, I'm afraid. I'm afraid because one time my friend Brandon Henderson and he Gavin back, and one time he was using the restroom and he did not close the door, and everybody see him, and Mr. Deshaun called his mama and he got a whooping.
Okay, well, we're not going to talk about him. I just want to know what's going on with y'all, okay?
Just tell her what she be doing to you.
Tell me what she do to you. Look at my camera and tell me what she does to you. Shamari.
She was whooping me, and mommy came in there and she took the belt from her. No, that's
Talk up.
About, like, tell her. I know she whooped us. Yeah, she whooped us. Tell her what bad stuff she been doing.
What bad stuff she been doing to you?
She been pulling her hair, whooping her, trying to choke her, and telling her to pull her pants down, get butt naked, where she can put bad stuff inside of her. And mommy know all of this, so she kept calling the police, and the police taking her to jail. They called child support, and we're not allowed to see her no more.
Okay.
So mommy going back there today as we pick it up for work and getting all our clothes and stuff there, and we moving. We moving in an old place.
Okay.
No,
this won't be happening to y'all no more. Do y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Me and y'all other Nana, Tanea, and y'all Paw Red, we gonna get this together. Do y'all understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
This is why I tell y'all to tell me everything. I'm so sorry that y'all had to go through this. I'm so sorry.
She definitely had to, like, I don't know, but she just be doing all types of bad stuff to Promise. She do bad stuff. One time she had tried to put a comb inside her butt. I had to,
oh my God.
I had to call the police. The police came, and yeah, she do bad stuff. Promise. One time she grabbed a knife. She tried to stab her. So I was like this. I tried to like pick her up, grab her away from Promise, and she choked me.
She tried to stab who? Promise?
Yeah.
And she choked you?
Yeah, and I told Justin to go call the police. And
where was Tayshana at when this happened?
She was there. She did something about it. She poured some hot water on her, and she told her to get out and stuff like that. She kept trying to bust in. The neighbors kept doing stuff. One time, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, they got into it one time. We had to go to our neighbor's house. We were sitting down watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
She slammed the door on Mommy's finger. Mommy had to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she tried to shoot Mommy. And the bullet went through the wall. And
oh my God.
And yeah.
I'm so sorry y'all going through
and
this.
And Mommy called Daddy, and Daddy pulled up, and he was finna shoot her, but
she called Wan, my dad, y'all daddy. Tayshana did.
Yes,
she
he
did.
came over there. He fighted her, and he said, he choked her. He said, don't you never put your hands on my kids or on my wife. And then that's when Shamari said, oh, so you coming over here and save your kids? Why you been the daddy? Why you been cheating and stuff? And he been saying, that's not your business. She already know that, but I'm just here to support them. You don't put your hands on my kids, especially Justice and Promise and Honesty And prom is just a baby, so you definitely don't put your hands on her. Because I will call child support and people over here where they can take you to jail and stuff. And Daddy just went off on her. And she never put her hands on us again.
When he did that, okay. Okay. Save it for me. Save it.
I have absolutely no idea where to begin with what y'all just heard. So basically, to sum all of this up, what you see in the picture is the oldest daughter right there on the left. The grandmother is in the middle, who they're telling this story to. And right there on the far right, I think, is the middle child, because I think it's another child that's younger than her. And basically, you was hearing mainly the older child tell how her and her sister were being molested in complete detail by their mother's, I guess you can say, significant other. Her mother is in a relationship with another woman, so that would classify her, I guess you could say, as a lesbian. It's crazy because on my live stream, the recent one that I did, I went through the thread in which this person who was most likely a part of the L class was saying how heterosexual black men are no good, they're terrible, they're this and they're that. And then you hear this story right here from this little girl who was being, not only her, but her sister were being molested by their mother's girlfriend repeatedly with foreign objects. I don't know what was worse about this story. The fact that they were being molested by this woman, or the fact that this woman was also abusive to their mother and forced them to, in a way, molest their own mother with that foreign object. You heard what she said. I'm not going to repeat it. And you have so many people in that academy who would prefer to turn a blind eye to something like this, but will stick on black men or hurting people in the T class, or black people are the most homophobic and all types of stuff like this. I've done multiple stories where people in that academy have been ruthless to other people and even amongst themselves. The story about Yasmin Jackson being viciously attacked by this T class member, slashing her face and stabbing her 7 times. You don't hear anything from them about that. I just recently did a story about a woman who was in a relationship with another woman who killed her. You don't hear about that. And this, what I just played for you, I know they're not going to touch on that. But you got people up there like their mascot, Silly Porter, making all these inflammatory comments about black people and how we are a danger to them and we're this and we're that. No, you are a danger amongst each other. And apparently, after listening to this video, a danger to other people. These are children. These are children. And let me just say right now, their mother, the kids would no longer be with her. Point blank, period. If I was the dad, I would find a way to get full custody of those children. I would find, come hell or high water, because they are not fit. They are not well over there. And I noticed that the grandmother wanted to make sure that this girl wasn't lying. I said, with the detail that she went in to describe this story, and she went in very graphic detail, I said, this girl is not lying. She's not lying. I will say this, her and her sister are definitely going to be traumatized for the rest of their life. They are going to need all kinds of family support, and they're going to need therapy, because their life can spiral out of control from this, and they're young. if I had to guess their ages, they couldn't. I would say that the oldest looks like she's probably closer to 10, and the other sister right there in the blue shirt, she probably has to be no older than 5, no older than 6. And then there was another child there. If you could hear a child kind of crying in the background. That child was there too. I don't think anything happened to that child, except for I think that the person, the individual who was doing this, I think they just hit them. But this person violated them on multiple occasions. And I don't hear one sound from that academy at all. Now, I'm recording this video on June 26, 2020. Usually I upload my videos in a certain particular order, but I think I might skip around a little bit with this one because I need this one to get up as soon as possible. And I'm going to have to age restrict this video because the details are too graphic for me to leave it open to the public. And I want this video to stay up. If I leave it up without age restricting it, YouTube might pull it down because of the content, the details behind it. That's why you only hear the audio. You don't see the video. What you see right there is actually a screenshot from the video from 3 different angles because the grandmother was recording this. Like, I had to get my bearings together before recording this video. And then whenever I think about children in abusive situations where they are with 2 people of the same sex who are parents, I always think of Devontae Hart and his siblings, and I can only imagine what they were going through. When I see how they had him acting and how they had him dressing up, I would not be surprised if those 2 were molesting him and his siblings. I would not be surprised. And we know how that story ended. That story broke me all the way down. Like, anyone who was subscribed to me back when I covered that story, with how that ended, knows that I could barely get through the whole video. I'll say it. I broke down right there in the recording. I was about 5 minutes in before I guess you can say lost myself. And that rarely happens. Like, I have to be really invested into a story for that to happen, for me to do that. Because I can't stand when people abuse children. I can't. I really can't. So doing these type of stories is not the easiest thing for me to do. But I know that it has to get out there. I know lamestream media, unfortunately, is not going to touch this. Do you know where this came from? This came from the last place I would ever retrieve videos, and that's WorldStar. I even tried to look this up on YouTube. It's not even up on YouTube, at least not now. WorldStar is the only place that has this video and what you just heard. I hope that these children get all the love and help and support that they possibly can, because they're going to need it. They are going to need it. They have already seen and experienced so much trauma in their short lives that I can't even say that they can't get any more drama in their life. They need some positivity around them. For real. See, I wish this story did make it to the mainstream so we could actually find out who this person is. Hopefully they can get whoever this monster is, because I can't even call this thing a person, because no human being would do this to kids. And I think what's crazy is because we always hear stories about children being molested. That's nothing new. But it's different when you actually hear from the kid's mouth. The details, the graphic, gruesome, brutal details of what occurred. That's just like with George Floyd. We've seen so many unarmed black people be killed by these terrorists, but it's rare that you actually see the terrorists killed the unarmed black person in real time, which is what set the world off. It set the world ablaze. That's kind of like what this video did for me. I hope they find and destroy that demonic bitch that did that or did this to those girls. And because the person is laid up with their mother, it shouldn't be hard to find. And don't get it twisted. The mother, she ain't no better. Their mother is no better. This reminds me so much of Rika Roundtree. It's just that both of them happen to be women. With Rika Roundtree was no different. Her sperm donor led her basically to her death, her slow burn, her slow death by getting her wrapped up with Cynthia Baker. This woman was supposed to protect her children, and she led them to the bitch that she's been laid up with. Not to mention the same chick the same monster who is abusing her as well. And then allowed your children to get abused and molested by her. And the academy is quiet. I, for one, am not surprised. And I'm going to only assume that the other woman that the mother is in a relationship with is black. I can tell by the name. But they're not going to say anything about that. And that's sad. That's the least they could do, because these are kids that have been affected by this. But there's always been this stigma that's floated around the academy. And that stigma is that most of them are child molesters. Of course, there was always some pushback behind that. But you can't push this one back. And I'm going to say this. If the academy is aware of this story right here, and they don't speak out about it, as far as I'm concerned, any issues that they have going on in their community is completely null and void. Because now basically what you're saying is you are okay with child molesters. And it's crazy because I got into it with that academy member on my Twitter page. I didn't say this in a live stream because I was rushing to get through it. But in one of her tweets, she accused not only myself, but also Tariq Nasheed of hating them because we called them out. I was like, that's a lie, because when the whole Ed Buck situation went down, me and Tariq were one of the first people to actually talk about it. And we're talking about the first incident back in 2017 when people were unaware of who Ed Buck was. Then she went on to say, because I didn't mention this either, that we most likely refer to them as the T word that ends with NIES and the F word. And y'all know what I'm talking about. I said, first of all, I've never used that term in any video that I have ever made concerning that academy. I don't even use that word offline, because I know what it feels like to have a slur sent your way. And I'm not a hypocrite. And they automatically assume that's what how I refer to them, and then say that they watch half my videos and said every time you talk about that community, it's in a very denigrating way. Notice that every time I do a video about that academy, it's always something denigrating coming from their side. Such as this story right here. They would probably say me talking about this would make me homophobic. I'm willing to bet that's probably what they would say. But I hope that these girls get all the help that they need, because they are going to need it. I hope that they get to about to call him a person again, to that entity. Let's put it this way. Hopefully they get to that entity who did this to them. And knowing how filthy this entity is, they may need to take those girls to the doctor and get them some kind of an STD or an STI test. Because who knows what was on those foreign objects that she used to violate them with. Just for precaution, just to make sure that everything checks out. Like, I really wanted to go off and like just go in. But I'm being very calm right now because I need to make sure my words come out fluidly. I could not believe what I heard. And I know those of you listening right now couldn't believe it either. Like, this absolutely blew my mind when I heard it. It did. Because like I said, you're used to hearing stories of children being molested, but you never hear the full detail come out of the child's mouth. And usually if they do tell the story, they tell it years later when they're an adult, when they have allowed everything to register. But I do hope that they get the help that they need, because they are in dire need of some kind of an assistance. I feel bad like that they had to go through that. I feel bad when any child has to be in that type of environment. Like, these girls didn't stand a chance, but I'm glad that they are alive. And then hearing about the knife and pulling a knife on the child and using the gun, like, it was situations where not only were these children, these girls violated like that, but they could have died. They almost died at the hands of this entity that's running around here disguised as a human being. But good thing their dad showed up and put this entity in its place. But he's a better man than me, because let me tell you this. Had it been me, I would have gladly caught the charge that day. Gladly. If it meant protecting my children, at that point, what could they really have done? They probably would have got me on something, but then because of the circumstance, I would have most likely got released. And then I would go to court and file for full custody. Because because their biological mother, she's not off the hook. She has proven that she is not fit to raise those kids. If you put your children in that type of environment. And knowing her, as toxic as that entity is, I think it's a good thing that they didn't have sons or a male child, because it reminds me of a story. And this is another story that the Academy doesn't touch on, but it happened overseas. It happened in Brazil, I think, where you had these two L-class members adopted this boy and tried to give him a botched homemade makeover, quote unquote. We'll leave it at that. And it killed him. They removed something from the male anatomy. And let's just say he didn't make it off the table. Y'all remember I did a story about that, as sick and disgusting as that was, because they wanted to turn him into a girl so badly that they mutilated that boy and he died. And right now, those two are in prison, probably fighting for their life, because I know they are showing them no mercy unless they're already dead. And if they are, oh well, good riddance. But the entity in which this person did that to these girls, they need the most utmost punishment that anyone can provide.